All right, building a startup in 500 days, day 244. All right, what's good, everyone? I know it's been a minute since I've done one of these last, so the 500 days is a little skewed, but what are we going to do? We'll roll with it. So I've still been cranking on everything since my last update. I was back east for a little bit. I'm never very good at doing this documentation when I'm back there. I need to get better at that. But now I'm back in my setup. It's a new year, so I'm going to get back into the swing of doing these every day. So since I've still been cranking, there's a lot to update on. I actually just went back and looked at my last video, and it's actually kind of crazy where we are now compared to that video. So let's get into it. All right, so first up, the artist version, or essentially now I'm just calling it like day to day. That's the app, if for anyone who's following along. It's not the manager version. So where we are right now is that the new design's totally finished. It looks dope. We were kind of debating how to roll it out because the cool thing is now it feels like the app we have right now is a clear value prop. Like there's no next feature and then it's ready or anything. Like it's ready. So we were thinking about different stuff. Like should we try some like cool invite code growth hack stuff or whatever? And ultimately we just decided like I feel like I have a tendency to overthink those things, make it perfect. So decided, you know what? Let's just put it on the App Store. See what happens. I'll still post on TikTok, but it would just be dope to have something live out there in the world, kind of out of beta. So that is what I'm going to be working on for January, is by the end of January, have it live on the App Store and just have it exist in the world. So I think I probably mentioned this in a past video, but this is our attempt at like the Be Real kind of method, which is actually, it's kind of dope. Like I love using it every day, where there's a check-in every day and then you fill out what you did that day. And then you can see everyone else's check-in. So it's kind of this accountability consistency tool that will help you stay the course, to your goals over the long term. And you can, there's also like you tap into this social accountability, but the other cool thing is it allows you to kind of document your story. And so I was talking with someone who, like started something new like 30 days ago or something. They'd done day to day every day, and then they get to essentially look back on those 30 days of all their check-ins and see like where they started at ground zero, and then at day 30 how much progress they made, which is dope because the whole idea is like the key to anything is just consistently working at it. And so this allows you to do that, stay accountable to it, but also have kind of this trail that you can see, and then also eventually that other people can see too, to get inspired and stuff like that. So that's that. I guess that's kind of like pillar one of this whole situation. And then pillar two, which I was looking back on the videos and I did kind of talk about this a little bit, is the manager version. So just quick recap, as we were going about this whole day-to-day process, we saw that there was some interest from managers on the kind of project management type tool that we built. And there isn't really a good solution for artist managers right now. Like a lot of people there's a whole wide variety of things like Google Sheets, Notion, Disco for songs. It's just like, it's kind of all over the place, Notes app for it to do. So we thought, okay, what if we could kind of build this kind of, the classic SaaS, like bringing it all in one place kind of thing for artist managers. And so Zach, who I mentioned on previous videos, he has now kind of joined the team essentially on specifically the manager version because he's kind of earned a spot, honestly. Like he hit us up. He seemed interested in what was going on. He's been super valuable in figuring out the scope of this new product, eventually when we start selling it to, getting the word out, spreading the word, etc. So that's kind of hype. So kind of new team member there for the manager version. So where we're at with that is that Bambi, sister, who's learning UI, UX design, which is clutch, finished the V1 design of that. And so all throughout December, I was working on implementing all of that, like the Vera V1 design, so that I could get in the hands of Stan and Zach, which I have done. So they've used the super initial version, and now the goal is to, based on their feedback, continue to refine it. There's still like another page I need to do, continue to refine it, and the idea is by end of January, that V1 is done, and it will be ready to get in the hands of early managers. So like homies that we know, stuff like that. Not ready to kind of sell yet, but just like good enough that we'd feel comfortable getting it into the hands of close friends who are managers to kind of mess around with it. So also super hyped for that. I mean, it seems like there's a need for this, and it seems like we're building a product that could work. So I'm excited to get it into people's hands and see if that hypothesis is valid or not. So ideally then, with those two pillars, by the end of January, we'll have an app live in the App Store, and we'll have a manager version ready to get into the hands of managers. And then this third pillar, this came out about like a few days ago. So, okay, it's been kind of a journey, this whole day-to-day process. Like when I first started, I was learning this tool Bubble, right? That's what I've been building. And so the first process was kind of learning the whole thing. And so this first like day-to-day for artists version turned into be more of kind of like a project manager, which was the initial manager version. It's all kind of complicated, but basically more of the story is we have this kind of project manager tool too. It's so funny. I mean, in Bubble, they're all just like different pages, so they're just different URLs. Like there's daytodayapp.co/daily-new dashboard/focus, and like they're all these different applications. But regardless, so this new dashboard one, or sorry, the project manager one. So Stan has a homie who runs a family business with two of them. And so like 2 months ago, I'd say now, Stan just mentioned it to them, and they were kind of trying it out just to see, if it would help them with their project management, because there is a lot of like it helps across teams kind of thing, like small teams, and they've still been using it, and it's like their go-to now, which is really interesting that kind of came out of nowhere. So I had a dope chat with Stan like a few days ago, and we were thinking, hey, this tool is there, like it's maybe not exactly what we came about at first, but there's real value here, real people are using it, and it's literally already built. It's like 100% done. Not totally true. Like we'd have to skew it a little bit if we wanted to kind of advertise it. But what we're thinking is like the main things there. Why not just like start running some ads around like a lightweight project management tool for family businesses and small teams? See what happens. It's already there. It's already a valuable product for some people. Maybe we can get a testimonial from them. Just like run some ads and see what happens. So ideally, we'll also finish that January. So then in February, ideally, we'll have an app live in the App Store, the manager version in managers' hands, testing it out, giving feedback, etc. And then we'll have this family business thing, like running ads and seeing if anything, pans out from it. So yeah, so hyped for 2024. It feels like 2023 was really kind of like a development year, almost like a prep year. Like I was learning Bubble. We had some things out in the world. We got a lot of feedback from different people. And now it feels like hitting 2024 is like the year to execute. It's the year to get things out in the world, get real users, hopefully. And just, execute on the things that we've been building for the past year. It's also really interesting. I was talking with Stan about this because as you're like, when you're in it, this process of like the startup, building products, kind of like what they tell you to do is, make a quick MVP, get in people's hands, get feedback, etc. But when you're actually in there, like this summer, right? It's like, it's really easy to feel like what you're doing is a failure, or, you're not making the right moves, etc. Because the feedback isn't really aligning with your, with the first build of people loving it and like popping off instantly. But then it's so interesting. Like if you take the macro perspective of like all of 2023, like we literally did what we set out to do. Like we got a product out. We got a ton of feedback on things. Based on that feedback, we changed a lot about the product, we iterated. And now going to 2024, we have products that we feel a lot more confident in based on actual feedback. So I don't know, it's just funny because I feel like maybe during these videos, or even just like in my own mental, like it's easy to get discouraged, or like, feel like what you're doing doesn't make sense when you're getting that feedback in the moment. But then if you take a macro, like that's literally what we set out to do, is to get feedback on the beta. And then most times the feedback is going to skew the product a little bit different from how it started. So I don't know, it's just interesting over the macro, like cool, we kind of did what we wanted to do. Even during the process, it was like, shit, like, we're not really making the right moves here. And then the last thing is I've been doing this as like building a startup. So when my past experience was building a startup, right? We had like 40 people or something. And so doing this, that was like my experience. And so that's kind of what I thought I wanted to do, is like build a big startup, etc. But now it's becoming more of like, let's just build products. Like I think I even want to wait on the brand, just build products, get things out in the world. Once there's some validation on a product, then go from there. So it's not really building a startup anymore. It's more of almost like a product studio and just kind of seeing what happens. Like not really expanding the team, stuff like that, not looking for funding, anything like that. But since I started the series as a startup, I'll just keep with it. It's also kind of a nice buzzword. But yeah, it's not necessarily building a startup anymore. But yeah, almost like a product studio. So yeah, excited to be back. I'll be doing these every day moving forward, hopefully. So yeah, following the journey. I'll see y'all tomorrow.